Namaste, Pranam, Gita Dhyana. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Grathitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitam Ritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatva manusandadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshinim. O Bhagavad Gita, with which Lord Narayana himself gave enlightenment to Partha. The ancient sage Vyasa included it in the Mahabharata. O Goddess, showerer of the nectar-like knowledge of non-dualism contained in your 18 chapters, O my affectionate mother, the destroyer of rebirth, I meditate upon thee. Krishna Vandana. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Son of Vasudeva, the slayer of Kansa and Chanur, extreme delight for Mother Devaki, O Lord Krishna, the supreme teacher of the universe, my salutations to you. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the 17th Adhyay of Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga, the yoga of threefold Shraddha. Sri Krishna is telling this is how the creatures, they come into existence based on their past merits and demerits, and then they end up getting that kind of faith, that kind of devotion, that kind of Shraddha, which is in tune with their inherent tendencies, which have been acquired over all those births, which again could be of three types. Sri Krishna says that Shraddha can be Sattvik Shraddha, Rajasic Shraddha, and the Tamasic Shraddha. And Sri Krishna has explained to us that how the type of Shraddha that one begets, having taken a new birth, how that person starts behaving in that birth. And then again, that same kind of accumulation of the karmas, which determine the next stage of the next life. How is that going to start? Is it going to start as a Sattvik? It is going to start as a Rajasic, or is it again going to start as a Tamasic? Now, while talking about this threefold Shraddha, the Shraddha Traya, Sri Krishna had told us that based on this Shraddha that everybody inculcates with the new birth, that person works in tandem with the Shraddha that is begetted. That action, whatever that person does, whether it is eating or performing action or performing austerities or giving alms, all these things, they are in line supporting with the type of Shraddha that the person begets in the new birth. Now, Sri Krishna told us in the previous three verses, in the previous three shloka, that how this Sattvika type of person, how they, what are their likings for foods. And Sri Krishna had told that the most pure food, which is in fact the health giving, which is leading to the cheerfulness of the person, which is leading to the blissful nature of the person, which is leading to the pious and holy nature of the person, that is the Sattvika food. Then Rajasic food is nothing but getting into all the distress, getting into all the distress, all that the food which is highly bitter, excessively salty, excessively pungent, excessively hot, and also which doesn't gel with our system. So all that kind of food is dear to the Rajasic type of people, which in turn, when that food is consumed, it leads to the nothing but distress and disease and ailments and grief. There is no total discomfort having taken the Rajasic food. And then about the Tamasic food, Sri Krishna told us in the last shlok that we read that yaṣṭavyamam gatarasam puti paryushitam chayat Uchishtam api chamedhyam bhojanam tamasa priyam. What kind of food is dear to the tamasic people? It is all stale food. Yāṭavyamam. The stale food, the food which has lost all the taste. Gatarasam, which has become totally tasteless. And puti, it is putrid. Paryushitam, it is stinking. It is rotten. That type of food. These tamasic people like. That food again, it is uchishtam, it is left over by other people. And don't know what kind of person that he is who has eaten the part of the food and just left over, and then this tamasic person, he just relishes that leftover food also, which is of highly impure nature, which is highly of the amedhyam, which is highly impure. As per the scriptural norms, we should not be taking any food which is left over, which is half eaten by somebody, and then that food is just left over, not consumed, and then we are not supposed to consume that food. Better give that food to some animal, some cow or goat, that kind of animals, or even dog, and let it go like that. Or if not anything, just put it in the pond, let fish eat it. Don't get into that kind of food which is left over by anybody, Sri Krishna says, because that is the food which is liked by the tamasic people. So Sri Krishna has deliberated upon the type of foods that is the first choice of these three types of people. Which type of food Sattvik person likes, which type of food Rajasic likes, and which type of food the Tamasic type of people they like. And now Sri Krishna is going to tell us about the modes of worshipping rather than worshipping the sacrificial acts. That how these three types of people, endowed with the Sattvika Shraddha, endowed with the Rajasic Shraddha, endowed with the Tamasic Shraddha, how they perform their activities. Now this explanation that Sri Krishna is giving, this teaching that Sri Krishna is giving, this is basically for the doubt that Arjuna had raised. The first verse of this adhyaya, when Arjuna had asked him that supposing somebody does a certain act wholeheartedly with all sincerity, but not ascribed to the scriptural injunctions. He is not following any kind of written procedure as given in the scriptures. Now what happens of that fellow? What happens of the type of work that that person does, which is done with Shraddha? Now, does that type of work, whatever that fellow is doing, which may not be in accordance with the scriptural injunctions, but whether that work can be termed as a Sattvik work or a Rajasic work or a Tamasic work? Now Sri Krishna says, my dear fellow, that even Shraddha you are talking about is of three types. And then he explained to us that how one begets the Shraddha as one takes a new birth. And then now Sri Krishna is explaining that based on this Shraddha, the type of food that one ingests, the Shraddha determines the type of food that one likes. Now Shraddha, Sri Krishna is going to tell us now, Shraddha also determines the type of the sacrificial acts, the Yjna, the sacrifices that one performs, the sacrificial rituals that one performs. So Sri Krishna says that what kind of worship, what kind of rituals these three types of people they perform, what is their intent behind performing these different rituals. Sri Krishna says, aphalākāṅkṣibhiryajño vidhidṛṣṭo ijyate yaṣṭavyameveti manaḥ samādhāya sāttvikaḥ. A Sattvik type of person, he performs these yajnas, these sacrificial acts in certain manner. Now what is that manner which the Sattvika type, now whether he is it is performed in accordance with the scriptural injunctions or not, that is not relevant at this point of time. But there again Sri Krishna says that the Sattvika type of person, when he performs a Shraddha, how he does it is aphala. Akāṅkṣibhihi. Akāṅkṣibhihi, one is one who is desirous. The aspirant, the worshipper, the performer of the yajna, one who is desirous of performing this act, this act of a sacrifice, that is aphala. That person, it doesn't have a motive of any fruit in front of him or in front of her. That entire process, that entire act of the sacrifice is performed without any motivation, without any desire for any fruit. Aphala. So that person is devoid of any desire for fruit while performing that sacrifice. Aphalākāṅkṣibhiryajño. That yajna is performed, the one who is performing the yajna is devoid of any kind of desire for the fruits. I am performing this because I should get this. No. That equation doesn't stand for the sattvic person. Vidhidṛṣṭo ijyate. And then that is done in accordance with the scriptures. That is done in accordance with how that act, how that sacrifice is supposed to be done. If there is a written down procedure of doing performing certain sacrificial act, this person will categorically, point to point, he will abide by the instructions as given in that manual of instructions, in the instruction manual. Vidhidṛṣṭo yjate. That is performed well in accordance with the requirements of performing that sacrificial act. But there is no intent of any desire. There is no motive. I should get this. That desire is not there. That desire for the fruit of performing that action is not there. Yaṣṭavyameveti manaḥ. Yaṣṭavyam ought to be offered eva iti manaḥ. This act, this sacrificial act is to be performed for performing the act, and that is done wholeheartedly with all involvement of the mind. Yaṣṭavyam eva iti manaḥ samādhāya saha sāttvikaḥ. Manaḥ samādhāya. Having fixed the mind in totality on performing that act. That is done wholeheartedly, Sri Krishna says. This is the Sattvika type of yajna, Sri Krishna says, that the yajna is Sattvika, which is performed without any kind of motive of acquiring any fruit. The yajna, the sacrifice, which is performed with no desire for any fruit, which is performed in ordinance with the scriptures, which is enjoined in the ordinance, and with their mind fixed on that sacrificial act only. Their entire focus, it is only the act that is being done. It is only that sacrifice that is being done. If I am doing, say, X sacrifice, I am giving up something, then my entire intent of giving up that thing, the sacrifice, if I am giving up my ego, if that is my sacrificial object, but my desire, there is no desire for any fruit. If I give up my ego, I should become like this. If I give up my this thing, then so some people, they sacrifice their foods of their choices. But the intent is, okay, I will give up my fruit of my choice. I will give up eating mangoes. But then, God, I should get this thing in return. That is not the business. That is not the Sattvika sacrifice, Sri Krishna says. Sattvika sacrifice is without desire for any fruit. And that act is performed in ordinance. And that act, when performing, it is done in a wholehearted manner. The entire focus, the entire mind is only focused on that act, not on the fruit of that act, not on the outcome of that act. And Sri Krishna says that is what the real sacrifice is. That is the sattvic sacrifice. Now, Swami Chidbhavananda ji has given a very beautiful example here. He says that a mother who serves her baby expects no reward. A mother, and the new baby is born, and mother, she devotes herself to bringing up that baby. She doesn't have any kind of expectations for reward of bringing up that baby. She takes care of the baby. She serves the baby. She finds satisfaction in service only. She is thrilled while serving the child. The good and the holy worship the Lord, expecting nothing in return. In the same way, Sri Krishna says, in the same way, Swami Chidbhavananda ji is giving an example. Like the mother, she serves her child without any expectations, without any expectation of the reward or any appreciation. She just did just for the sake of love. Similarly, the devotee, the spiritual aspirants, when they worship Lord, when they serve Lord, when they perform a sacrificial act of serving the Lord, their entire intent is just to serve the Lord. Their idea is not what I am going to get back in return. Their focus is not on getting appreciation or reward. Their focus is only on serving the Lord. I am sacrificing this so that I can serve my Lord, my deity, my divine mother. This divine act is inherent in them. Again, their adoration is quite in tune with the ordinance of the scriptures. All forms of yajna resolve themselves into adoration of the Almighty. Any sacrificial act that is performed, any yajna that is performed, that is basically it is nothing but the adoration of the Almighty. It is nothing but a resolve to adore the Almighty, the greatness of the Purushottama. And that is how the sacrificial acts are performed. And Sri Krishna says, when someone gets into a sacrifice, performing a sacrifice in this manner, without desiring for any reward, without desiring for any fruit or phala, that sacrifice, when it is done in a proper manner, the way it should be done, because Sattvika sacrifice, Sri Krishna says, will always be done in accordance with the scriptural injunctions. So that Arjuna's question, whether one does with full Shraddha and not abiding by the scriptural injunctions, that Shastra, that doesn't come over here. He said when it is a Sattvika sacrifice, it automatically it is done in accordance with the injunctions of the scriptures. And then when this act is being done, that performed of that act, it is not that he's doing the sacrifice, but his mind is traveling somewhere else. No, he says he is wholeheartedly involved in performing that sacrificial act. His entire the body, the thought, and the mind, and the intellect, everything, whatever faculties the Lord has provided for this body, all the faculties, they are totally devoted in performing the sacrificial act. The organs, the senses, the mind, and the intellect, everything is in tune with the performance of that yajna. And that is what Sri Krishna says. This is the type of yajna, that is the Sattvika yajna. So let us next see what Sri Krishna is going to tell us about the Rajasic type of yajna and then the Tamasic type of yajna. That also he is going to explain to us. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Sri Ramakrishna. Jai Thakur Jai Ma. Jai Swamiji.